Hello out there to the Wallace family. Today we're going to be reviewing the Return to Learn 2020 plan that's going to help us kick off the start of the 2020-2021 school year. As you all know, this coming school year is going to look way different for our students, for our teachers, for our staff, and for our parents. Rest assured that we are working very hard here. Everybody's working very hard here to ensure that our plan is very thorough, covering all our bases and ensuring that we are looking out for the health and safety of our students, our teachers, and our staff. With that being said, we are also very committed to offering in-person instruction for our students. In addition, we are also offering remote learning options for those students and parents that need it. So, to kick off the full plan, not only has it been shared and emailed with parents, it's also available on our social media sites and our website. If you do go to wallacegs.org, you can go to the Return to Learn 2020 page, and you can access all the documents and all the information that you need to know and that you need to review to help kick off the start of the year. That is available to you there. Now, some big information and what you need to know. First of all, the start of the school year we have postponed until Monday, August 17th. So the kids will start on Monday, August 17th, and that day will be an 11:30 dismissal. So we will have Teacher Institute days and remote learning planning days taking place on August 12th, 13th, and 14th, and then as well the afternoon of the 17th. So the first day for our students will be an 11:30 dismissal, a shortened day to help everybody kind of get acclimated to some of the changes. Also to note, moving forward until further notice, we will be dismissing each school day at 2:30. So the start of the school day is 8:30, and the conclusion of the school day will be 2:30 until further notice, excluding any days that are scheduled already as 11:30 dismissals. Now, on the calendar document, you will see there are specified 2:30 dismissals already on that calendar, which are noted in red numbers for the date. That is the original schedule. That kind of takes out of consideration the changes that we're making to ensure that, one, we are trying to limit that exposure time for our kids, and two, that additional time from 2:30 to 3:30 each day will be used for our teachers to support our remote learners and to provide homeschool assistance as needed for parents. Now, with that, instructional options. Per this plan and per our policies now, we are offering a variety of different instructional options for our students. The first of which is traditional in-person instruction. That's where the kids come to school every day just like they would normally. There's going to be policies and procedures in place for health and safety. However, those students will be coming to the school each day, 8:30 to 2:30. Okay? The next option is remote learning. This option is only available to K through 8 students as well as students in our developmental preschool program. Students for remote learning, there are 3 different reasons why a student may opt and a parent may opt for remote learning. The first of which is if there's a medical concern or a high-risk health concern that would warrant that student needing to stay home. The second would be if there's a member in the household, a parent perhaps, that has a high-risk health or medical concern. And the third reason why someone would opt for remote learning is if parents have the fear of a student returning to the building for in-person instruction based on the situation with COVID-19. If a student or a parent opts for remote learning, we are asking that parents make that decision by August 5th. That gives us plenty of time to prepare for those remote learners. And to do so, you will go on our website under the remote learning or Return to Learn 2020 plan page. You will see there is a drop-down link for the remote learning instruction request. A parent will need to submit that request so we can plan accordingly for that student to be remote. The next instructional option is available to all parents and always has been. That is the option of withdrawing a student from the school and the parents providing homeschool instruction. Now, to take that a step further, we also want to try to continue to support our students, even if they need to withdraw for homeschooling this school year, or perhaps the first half of the school year. We want to still be able to assist those students, so our teachers will provide resources and materials that those parents could use if they choose that option for homeschooling. So if that's the case, parents, you will need to, first of all, you do need to notify the school in writing that your intent is to homeschool your child. And then in addition, you can also reach out to us and we can help provide that assistance, those materials and resources that we have available. The last instructional option available to students is homebound instruction. Now, this is different than remote learning. Homebound instruction is per a doctor's orders. So if your child has a high medical risk, health risk, you can consult with your physician, and if they feel it's appropriate, they can write a request to the school for your child to receive homebound instruction. Those are very rare that you're going to have that situation. Obviously, remote learning is available for those individuals as well. However, if there are extensive health concerns, parents can explore that option. Now, the caveat of all of this, and this isn't going to be news to anybody, but the caveat to all of this is there is always a potential that we could transition back to full remote learning. If our region, or the state of Illinois, if our region in the state of Illinois, per the Restore Illinois plan, if we revert back to phase 3 at any point due to the data and numbers that are out there in response to COVID-19, we could transition to full, complete remote learning. Now, we have been working hard. Our remote learning committee has been working hard to develop the exact plan of the details of what that will look like if and when that happens. But we are working to ensure that we have an efficient, consistent, cohesive plan for all grade levels for if and when that does happen. But we really want to emphasize and stress to our community that you understand that there is a real possibility at any time we could transition back to full remote learning. Again, it will look different than it did in the spring. There will be higher expectations. There will be more required of students if and when that happens. But please, keep in mind in the back of your head, it's always a possibility. So, big thing, face coverings, face masks. This is going to be a requirement for anyone and everyone that's going to be inside the school building. Everyone has to wear a face covering. There are very limited exceptions to that rule. However, when you're in school with your peers, with your teachers, everyone has to wear a face mask. Okay? Now, something to note, the gaiters that go around your neck that pull up, those are not allowed. It has been shown that typically those are made of a thinner material. They don't meet the guidelines for requirements for face coverings. So please keep in mind what face coverings you have. We will have a supply of disposable face coverings, face masks available for people if they need them. Or for example, if a student has a cloth face mask and something happens to it, it gets contaminated in some way, shape, or form, we will have extras available that those kids or staff members could use. We kind of are encouraging parents to probably have a supply of cloth face coverings for your child, maybe one per day, that you would rotate throughout the week, and then you'd wash them each week to ensure that they're clean and ready for those kiddos. Another thing to note, we will be providing lanyards for each student. Each student will have a clip-on lanyard that is able to hook to the straps of the face mask, and when the student takes it off, the face mask will just hang right on their chest, and we don't have to worry about the mask becoming contaminated at times like lunchtime when they're able to remove their masks, or when they're outside for PE and they can remove their masks, or if they're outside for a recess time and they can remove their masks. Now, like I mentioned, if they're outdoors and they're maintaining social distance, which is 6 feet or more, students will be able to take off their masks at those times. So, recess time outside, PE time outside, and then any other times that teachers may be taking their classes of students and groups of students outside, which they will do from time to time to have kind of masks breaks throughout the day. Next, social distance. Everybody, this term is not new to anyone, but our students will be maintaining social distance to the maximum extent possible. The guidance is 6 feet. That's what we're going to strive for. So our teachers, everyone will be doing everything they can to ensure that our students are spaced out in terms of when there's traffic flow coming and going throughout the building, when classes are traveling in the building. We will be working on procedures and teaching our kids to maintain that distance as much as possible. Now, school lunch. A big thing, school lunch. What's that going to look like? Our school lunch, basically, we are split into 3 lunch periods. In each lunch period, there will be 2 designated shifts. So, period 1, shift A, and shift B. In addition to that, there will be 3 designated areas in which the classes could go. So, in one lunch period, there are 3 grade levels. One grade level will be in the cafeteria in the South Gym. Another grade level would be at the secondary cafeteria, which was the music room. And the third group would be outside at their recess time. That's in shift 1. In shift 2, they would rotate. There would be 1 grade level in the South Gym cafeteria. Another grade level would be outside at recess playground area 1, which will be designated outside. And the third grade level would be at playground recess area 2. So again, we're going to work to ensure that those groups are staying separate and they're staying under the 50-person maximum for gathering. We have no problem staying under those numbers, but that's just a little bit of the logistics of what that will look like. Again, we will have very thorough procedures, exactly how the movement of students will take place into those different locations, and then back to their classrooms. The school bus. A couple weeks ago, we sent a survey out to parents asking how many individuals were going to be utilizing the school bus transportation and how many would be doing drop-off pickup. And we encourage parents, if possible, to take advantage of the drop-off pickup option because we are held to that 50-person capacity for our school buses. So essentially, we want to ensure that we have below that number. Otherwise, we have to explore having alternating shifts of bus routes, which essentially would be us running our bus routes twice, which would impact the start and end times, and really would be very logistically challenging, not only for us, but for our parents as well. Thank you to everyone that filled out that survey, because based on the number of people that are opting to drop off and pick up, that has ensured that all of our bus routes are going to be below the 50-person capacity, so we have no issues with our buses. So we'll be able to socially distance those individuals on those school buses, and that will be fantastic. However, side note of that, now we have a lot of individuals that will be picked up and dropped off each day, which is totally okay. However, we will have some modified procedures for drop-off and pickup, and we're going to be sending detailed instructions and information out to parents about exactly what those procedures will look like, so parents will know exactly what to expect when dropping off and picking up their child or children. So, in addition to that, school buses will be cleaned and sanitized completely after each route, morning and evening routes. And then in addition, seating charts will be used, and we will be having any siblings or individuals living within one household will be have assigned seats together, and they'll basically go in order from the back of the bus to the front of the bus as they get on, and then as they would get off, just to minimize contact and individuals getting near one another. Increased cleaning and sanitation is going to be going on a ton throughout the building. Mr. Greger, our maintenance director, has done a fantastic job implementing and doing research in terms of exactly what products will be used, when they'll be used, how they'll be used. Basically, anytime a room will be empty throughout the day, we'll have custodians scheduled to do surface area cleaning in those places. So there will be very thorough cleaning happening all day long, before school and after school. Temperature checks. So there will be 2 different temperature checks going on each day. There will be temperature checks at bus stops, and there will be temperature checks at the entrance of the building. So for students, this is what to expect. At a bus stop, when the bus stops, a staff member will step off of the bus, will do an infrared forehead scan of the temperature, and any temperatures of 100.4 degrees Fahrenheit or above, anyone with that temperature is not allowed to enter the school bus. So at that point, that student would have to be turned away, and the parents would take that student, and they are going to need to stay home per our policies. At the entrance of the school, same thing. Per the drop-off and pick-up procedures, when students come in, they will be lined up, maintaining social distance, and before they enter the building, they will infrared scan the temperature, and then as long as they are below that 100.4 degree Fahrenheit threshold, they are fine to enter. Okay? That's what temperature checks will look like. In addition, any visitors will also have temperature checks done. So parents, if for any reason you are going to need to come into the school building, please be aware that we will be taking your temperature before you enter the building. Okay? On that same note, visitors, we are going to be very limiting of the visitors that can come into the building, unless it's absolutely essential and necessary that those visitors need to enter. Symptom checks. In addition to the temperature checks, parents will have to certify that their child is symptom-free. So you will see in Appendix A, and Mrs. Madison will talk about that a little later. In Appendix A, we outline the symptoms associated with COVID-19. And basically, parents every single day are going to need to certify that their child is symptom-free of all of those symptoms. Now, by sending your child to school, you are certifying that they are symptom-free. If they are not symptom-free, so if they have any of those symptoms without medication, okay, if they have any of those symptoms, they need to reference Appendix A and Appendix B of the Return to Learn plan for guidance in terms of what needs to be done. But if they have any of those symptoms, they must stay home per our policy. Now, when I say without medication, traditionally, when students or children in general run fevers, you'll give them Advil, ibuprofen, Tylenol, a medication like that to lower their fever. What parents need to keep in mind is the policy is without medication. Okay, so if your kiddo didn't have Tylenol, would they have that fever? Okay, so we have to keep that in mind, and we have to be very, very honest and thorough with our expectation of those guidelines. So again, by sending your child to the school bus or sending your child in the building, you as a parent are certifying that they are symptom-free. We will handle the temperature check. Parents have to handle the symptom check. All right? So like I mentioned, for student drop-off and pickup, it's going to look a little bit different. So when dropping off in the morning, students will line up outside the south main entrance, and we'll have a designated area for students lining up to enter. So parents will drop them off, and the side note of this is parents need to stick around until their child gains entry into the building, just in case our temperature scans show that they have a fever above 100.4. Students will line up and come in. We will begin that process at 8:15, not any earlier than 8:15. The reason being, in the past, our children, once they come into the building, they wait in the foyer area until it's time to dismiss to their homeroom. We do not want the children waiting in a group in the foyer area. We want to avoid that. So please, keep your children either in your car or come to drop off as close to 8:15 as possible. Once students come through, they'll have a temperature scan and then they will immediately go to their homeroom for the day. There will be no waiting in the foyer area. At the end of the day, students for pickup will be dismissed to the South Gym, and each grade level will have a designated area in the gym. At that time, we will begin our dismissal procedure of calling students out to be picked up outside the south entrance starting after 2:30 in the afternoon, or on 11:30 days at 11:30. And again, we will send out very detailed information for drop-off and pickup procedures, so parents just be on the lookout for that. Now, class scheduling is a big thing. We've done a lot of changes in terms of modifying our class scheduling to ensure that we're not having congested hallways or big, large groups traveling to different places at the same time. The biggest and most notable change that's taking place is for our junior high students, so 5th grade and up, actually 4th grade and up, the students will not be moving classrooms. The teachers will be moving classrooms. Again, we're trying to minimize the contact that groups are going to have and cohorts are going to have moving around the building. Passing periods are very challenging because it's a lot of kids going a lot of different places at the same time. To avoid that, teachers will be moving classrooms. There is some small exception to that with our advanced math courses for 7th and 8th grade. There will be a little bit of student movement, but for the most part, students go to their homeroom and that's the room. Besides going to some of their specials, like PE, that's basically the space that they will occupy throughout the day. In addition, we've done some changes with PE scheduling, technology scheduling, library scheduling, and music and band schedules and intervention schedules have been modified, again, to minimize the travel and congestion of students in the hallways. So please be expecting some small changes happening in that regard. Now, we will have a designated quarantine room for any students that are experiencing any symptoms related to COVID-19. So basically, if a student does become ill throughout the day, which does happen, and it traditionally always happens, students spike fevers at school, things happen. If a student has a symptom related to COVID-19, they will go to the designated quarantine room. The only individual in that quarantine room is that student and our school nurse, Mrs. Madison. Any student that needs any sort of medical health-related attention that is not related to COVID-19, which is they need an ice pack because they fell, they need a Band-Aid, stuff like that, which again happens a lot at schools. Those individuals will come to the office care for attention and anything that they need in related to that. But the designated quarantine room, again, just for students like that, that room will have access to an outside door. So if students do need to be picked up from school because they're exhibiting signs similar to COVID-19, that room will be right there, and that's where parents will be able to pick up their kids. Now, with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Madison, who's going to touch on some of the health-related information that can be found in Appendix A and Appendix B of the Return to Learn plan. Additionally, before I do that, if anyone has any questions, the original format of this was going to be a live session on Facebook. We've adjusted that a little bit. But if anybody has questions, you can submit those questions to the email address questions@wallacegs.org. What we will do is we will compile any questions that are submitted, and we will be creating a Q&A document that can be found on the Return to Learn 2020 page of our website. So again, if you have any questions, if you want to submit them, please do so by emailing questions@wallacegs.org. Thanks, everybody. We look forward to kicking off the school year. And I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Madison.
Hi, this is Mrs. Madison, your school nurse. As you have heard probably many times over, this school year is going to look a little differently than it has in the past, and it's in regards to trying to keep our wellest students and staff as safe and as healthy as possible. I'm asking you as parents and guardians to work closely with us. Every morning, I'm going to ask you to review a list of symptoms and kind of self-certify that your student or students don't have these symptoms. If they do, I would like you to keep them home for the day and then communicate with us. We need you to be as open and honest with these symptoms as possibly can, and also open and honest if your student was potentially exposed to someone with COVID-19. We understand, obviously, that there might be more school absences this year, and we completely understand that. In reference to Appendix A, that is what I just talked about, the symptom certification. That is at the back of our Return to Learn plan, and these are the symptoms that are related to COVID-19. I asked you to print that out and have it somewhere that you can reference daily, so you can make a judgment on whether your student is going to come to school. It is not solely based on fever. We want you to look at everything and see how your kiddo's doing that day. And we are also asking staff to do this as well. So anyone that's going to be in the building, we're asking to do this as well, and they will be temperature screened just as Mr. Landers had referenced earlier. In reference to Appendix B, this is our return to school procedure. And these are our guidelines for if a student is experiencing symptoms or has potentially been exposed to COVID-19. There are 5 different scenarios, 4 on the left and 1 on the right. And I would work closely with you to see where your student or a staff member would fall, and then we would develop a plan from there. Please know, kind of in closing, please know that I will keep your students' health as private as I possibly can. Positive cases do need reported to the health department, so that is something that I might have to communicate with the health department and work with them as well. I know that a positive result of COVID-19 can be scary, but I want you to know that sometimes it's out of our control. It's kind of part of our world right now, and there will be no judgment from me. Thank you so much for your cooperation, and I look forward to seeing your kiddos in the building. We're very excited to see them. Thank you.